Hey everyone, this is Samarth. Welcome back to another video of our playlist in which we are creating a node app with backend in Ktor. In last video we have set up our room database and retrofit instance, and in this video we are going to set up our navigation. So let's start with this video. So first of all, to create navigation we need fragments, and to create fragments in this UI package we need to create one more package which is account, and one more package in this UI package which is nodes. Basically we are differentiating the fragments related to account and nodes. So in this account package we need to create a new fragment which is a create account fragment, and here extend it with fragment, and here we have to pass our XML file which is r.layout. First of all we need to import this r, and here we have to select fragment create account. Now in this fragment we need to create a variable which is private var binding, which is of type fragment create account binding, and this binding class came from view binding which we have implemented. Here you can see in this app level build.gradle file I have added the build feature which is view binding. So if you are not getting that binding class, then must add this view binding here, and we have to initialize it with null, and then we need one more variable which is binding. Then it is also of type fragment create account binding. It is also nullable, and here we have to set a getter. We have to pass this upper binding. Now why we have set this getter? Because we want our binding to initialize only when we will use this binding variable. Now let's override the function which is on view created. Now here we have to initialize this binding which is a private variable. We have to set it to var. Here we have to set fragment create account binding dot bind, and here we have to pass this view which we are getting from this function parameters. And also because we are using this binding in fragment, we also need to clear this binding reference because this may create memory leaks. So in onDestroy function we have to set this binding variable to null. Similarly we have to create all the fragments, so let's create them quickly. Set up our all the fragments. So now we have to create our nav graph. So in this resources folder we have to create a new file which is Android resource file, and here we have to name it as nav graph, and then here we have to select navigation and press OK. So here we have to set up all the navigations. To set up the navigations, let's add the fragments here. So our first fragment will be all node fragment, and then there will be a new node fragment, and then there will be a user info fragment, and after that there will be create account fragment, and then there will be login fragment. So basically when we will open the app we will see this all node fragment. Then we can go to new node fragment by pressing the tab icon, and we can also go to the user info fragment from the toolbar, and from this user info fragment if the user is not logged in then we can go to create account fragment, and we can also go to login fragment. And also we have to add an argument in this new node fragment because whenever we will click on any node in all nodes fragment, then we have to go to new node fragment to show that node completely, and we have to send this node from this fragment to this fragment. So we have to add an argument in this new node fragment. So select this new node fragment, and then here in this arguments tab we have to click on this plus icon, and here we have to add a argument. So our argument is node, and the type of the argument is custom serializable. Because our node is not of inbuilt type, so we have to pass the custom serializable class here, which we don't have right now. So let's make our local node serializable. We have to go to our local node, and then here we have to extend it from serializable, and that's all. Now again back to nav graph, and here we have to add the argument, and the name of the argument is node, and the type of the argument is custom serializable, and we have to select the local node, and then press OK, and then click on nullable, because whenever we will create new node, then we will not have to pass any node, so at that time its default value will be null, and add this argument. So that's all for our nav graph. Now open your activity main layout, and here we have to assign the nav graph to this fragment container view. So app colon nav graph is equals to nav graph which we have created, and that's all. Our nav graph is settled. Now let's run our app. So here we are getting an error because we haven't added the DAO annotation to our node DAO. So let's add that quickly. And let's run it again. So our build is successful, and here you can see our app is open. Currently we don't have any node because we haven't implemented the business logic till now, and also we can't navigate to the new node fragment and any other fragments right now because we haven't added the navigations. So let's add them quickly. First of all, we have to set up the menu for our toolbar, because in our toolbar there will be two things. One is for searching the nodes, and then we have to navigate to the user info fragment. And to do that, in this resource folder, we have to create a new class, a new file, which is main menu, and which is of type menu. Then press OK, and this will be our menu file, and here we have to specify the items we want to add in our menu. So the first item will be to navigate to the user info fragment, and its ID will be account, and then the title will be account, and then we have to write the show as action, which will be never, because we don't want to show it in this action bar. We always want to click on this icon, and we want this menu here. And there will be one more item, that will be the search item. Its title will be search, and in the show as action we have to write always, because we want it to be always in the action bar. Also we have to add the icons. So in this drawable folder we have to add a new vector asset. Here we have to search, and press OK, and then add it and finish. And then also add one more icon, which is for account, vector asset, then search for account, select this account circle, and then press OK, and then next, and then finish. So here we have to write the icon as account, and here our icon will be the search icon. And here we have to add one more property, which is action view class. Select this app action view class, and then we have to set it to search view, because we want to click on this search icon and it will expand and make a search bar here. So we have created the menu, and we have to specify this menu in this fragment all nodes, and here in this toolbar we have to set the menu, which is main menu, and let's remove this to do. And now in this all nodes fragment class we have to set up the toolbar by writing activity as app compat activity, and here we have to set action bar, which will be binding dot custom toolbar. So we can write it as a non-nullable, because we are assigning the value before writing this. And after we have set up the toolbar, we have to override one more function, which is on create view. And here before returning we have to set has option menu, and set it to true. We have to override one more function, which is on create options menu, and here before calling the super function we have to inflate our own menu by using this inflator.inflate. Here we have to pass our own menu, which is our dot menu dot main menu, and here we have to pass this menu. So this will set up the menu, and to perform clicks on menu we have to override one more function, which is on option item selected. And here before returning we have to make a when expression when the item id is r.id.account. When we will select account item, then we want to navigate to user info fragment. So let's find nav controller.navigate, and here we have to pass the id of the route, which is r.id.all nodes fragment to user info fragment. So now by clicking on the account item we will navigate to the user info fragment, and we want to also navigate to the new node fragment. So in this on view created function we have to call binding dot new node frag dot set on click listener. We want to navigate to new node fragment, so find nav controller dot navigate, and here pass the id that r.id.all nodes fragment to new node fragment. And also in this user info fragment we want to navigate to create new account fragment and login fragment. So let's make a binding dot create account button dot set on click listener, and here we have to navigate to create account fragment. So r.id. User info fragment to create account fragment, and when we will click on login button, then we want to navigate to the login fragment. Find nav controller dot navigate r.id. User info fragment to login fragment, and by this we will able to navigate to all the fragments. So let's run our app again. So without the nodes everything is visible here. By clicking on this fab icon we are able to navigate to this new node fragment. Here is our search icon, and by clicking on this icon we are able to navigate to user info fragment. Here we don't see our create account and login button, so to test it let's make them visible. So in this user info fragment we have to remove the visibility, which is like I have set the visibility to gone, so we have to make it visible. And where is the login button? Here we have to also remove this, and then make the logout button not visible. So let's run it again, and let's go to user info fragment, and here you can see these two buttons, and now we can able to navigate to the create account fragment and also to login account fragment. Right now we don't have any business logic in our app, we are just able to navigate to different fragments, but in upcoming videos we will implement that business logic. So that's all for this video. Thank you for watching it. Have a nice day.